Hello, and welcome to Inside the Interview, the podcast where we uncover what hiring managers really want. I am Vijay Dabi, and throughout my career in data and IT, I have sat on both sides of the interview table as candidate and a hiring manager. Through this podcast, we are bringing you honest conversations with professionals who have real experience making hiring decisions and building successful careers. Today, I'm joined by Theresa Smith, who recently retired from Sandwell Council after an incredible 40 years of career. With 4 decades of experience across local government, she has seen huge changes in technology, recruitment, and workplace culture, and what employers look for in candidate. Teresa, thank you for taking time out of your day to come to the podcast, and welcome to Inside the Interview.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily.
So, Teresa, can you tell us a bit more about your career and your role at Sandwell Council?
Yes, well, as you said, I worked for Sandwell for over 40 years in many different roles. I started as a supernumerary clerk, which in this day and age you would call an apprentice. So that is a fantastic way to explore and learn about all the different areas and roles across the authority. Technology wasn't in place when I started, that's how long ago it was, but it started to take off around 1990.
Hmm.
And technology interested me, and managers acknowledged that I had a flair for understanding applications and how that could benefit the different service areas, especially finance, because that was my other skill.
Yeah.
My background is in maths and accountancy, so it was really important to try and get those systems and the benefits of using technology to aid the financial roles.
Hmm.
So during my career, I've worked on six large scale implementations, system implementations, with the last one being far the most biggest and complex of them all. And this system integrated many services across the housing
Yeah.
directorate. Um, During this implementation, I also worked closely with a developer to build a bespoke data warehouse business intelligence solution. So I've got lots of background working my way up through knowledge of the business areas and then working from the ground up within systems. And the last 5 years of my career, I actually managed a team who supported all these areas. So I was responsible for many of those roles that fit under systems, data, intelligence, quality and performance, and business transformation and improvement. So I managed all the teams and recruited to those teams within the last 5 years.
Oh, great. Good to hear. So, following on that, what kind of roles did you regularly recruit for throughout your career?
So again, I'll refer to the last 5 years
Yeah.
because that was probably the highest recruitment
Hmm.
levels I'd ever undertaken. And those roles, anything from a transformation officer, system project officers, business analysts, technical developers, support desk officers, performance analysts. I also recruited to 3 managers within those teams, so systems lead, performance and quality lead, and
Yeah.
transformation lead.
Yeah.
So it's a variety of roles across the team. Also apprenticeships, so we did recruit apprenticeships as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, when you are reviewing CV or an application, what are the top three things you look for in the application?
Okay. For me, it's back to basics, really. It's a well completed application where the candidate has read and understood the requirements of the role
Yeah.
and they demonstrate their own skills against every aspect of the personal specification. Because if you're interviewing somebody external to the authority, that's all you've got to go on. So you need to prove and demonstrate to the panel and the shortlisting panel that you can deliver the needs of that role. That's through your own experience and your own eyes. So check for grammar, spelling. So many people say they pay attention to detail, and then when you have an application that hasn't run through that process, it kind of disagrees with what you're trying to claim is one of your skills. Make sure all elements of the application has been completed accurately, including references that do check out. An application that is personalised and demonstrates your own experience, not from a team's perspective,
Yeah.
because that is also some of the mistakes. Some candidates, they will indicate they've been involved in a role.
Yeah.
They don't actually sell their own skills of how they worked on a particular project or a piece of work.
Yeah, so they refer to we have done this.
Yes.
Who are we? So they
We
need to
want
be.
to know about you,
Yeah, yeah,
not the team.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, great. And what are the biggest mistakes candidate make when they're applying for the jobs?
Okay. Again, I think I've just covered some of this, not
Yeah, definitely.
personalising their own experiences
Mhm.
with their own examples, incomplete applications, lack of previous history, unexplained gaps in career timelines, using information that doesn't check out, such as bogus references, which I think in our last recruitment campaign that was more apparent
Yeah,
because of the nature of a particular type of skill we was looking for.
yeah, yeah,
So yes, there was some references that we do check these things out. So it's be mindful that you are giving us a genuine.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, as far as I know, in local authority, we have application process, so you need to fill in the form. But for cover letters in any organization, how important do you think they are?
Again, like you've said, we'd never asked for a cover letter in our recruitment. What we did on the application form, there was an area to add extra detail.
Yeah.
So this is where you would put that extra information in. So it's where a candidate should personalise their own experience and just give some more context to how they've been involved with particular projects or if they want to expand on their skill sets, if there's no other area on the application form to complete that, looking about the specific duties of the role and trying to align some of the context of how you feel you could deliver on that role.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. What makes a candidate memorable after an interview?
Someone who's fully engaged and they actively listen to all the question and they can demonstrate their own personal experiences in their responses. So someone who has researched the authority or the place of where they're applying for the job and they actually understand the requirements of the role and they can clearly communicate their skills and experience
Mhm.
using good examples in the interview. So I think that's the most important thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody has an experience, then they can use a good example. But when you interview your apprentice as an example, they may not have worked or they not have enough experience to cover a lot of examples. What kind of examples do you hear in the interview?
It could be anything in their personal life,
Yeah,
anything, any hobby that they've undertaken where they've had to use their skills, or any situation where they feel that they've added some value to it through their own initiatives.
mhm,
So it doesn't have to be work, especially like you said, if it's somebody who's just joining the authority at a lower level, so that you're not looking for anything specific in that role.
yeah,
You're just looking for someone who shows initiative, someone who can think for themselves and demonstrate that they have got transferable skills more than anything.
yeah. I think some of the examples I can think of is they have studied, so they have done some project in the school.
Exactly.
They can think about if they are working somewhere as a volunteer. Other examples from a family commitment point of view, they are taking care of somebody. I mean,
Yes.
that could be one example.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
or anything like that. And generally, these days in education, you do get the workplace experience as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So that's always a good example of how you portrayed yourself during a workplace experience and
yeah,
what you gain from that. Yeah.
yeah. Great, thank you. Are there any red flags that stand out in a CV or during an interview process?
I think a candidate who appears to talk from a script,
Mm,
so they're not it's very scriptured chat, and you can kind of. I think the more interviews you do, you do pick up on people who have kind of they're trying to reel off the key words or um,
yeah,
things without actually thinking about what they're saying. So rather than from their own experiences, they're just trying to get buzzwords into an interview.
mm,
Someone who uses examples that are more about a team approach. So again, rather than using personal contributions, we're not looking to recruit a team. We want to know how you contributed to a piece of work
yeah,
or a project and what skills you had to offer as
yeah,
part of that
yeah,
piece of
yeah.
work. Somebody who can't make eye contact with you. So
Okay.
it's very key in local authorities specifically, the fact that you can communicate well with many audiences.
Yeah,
So if you can't make eye contact with somebody, that is kind of, it's not
doesn't
a
go
good,
well.
yeah, it's not a good skill not to have.
Yeah, yeah,
Someone who doesn't listen to any instructions as well, clearly. If we set time limits for presentations and Yeah, from experience, we've had candidates who have actually talked the first 10 minutes of what should have been a presentation and never actually had time to deliver the presentation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
listen clearly to instructions around what you need to do for the interview and how you need to prepare.
Yeah, and when they are preparing presentation, even and if it is 10 minutes, do that rehearsal at home. That can you
Exactly.
finish in 7 minutes or in 12 minutes,
Yeah.
and is it a
Talk it
good
through with
time?
somebody before
Yeah,
you actually attend the interview,
yeah,
because 9 times out of 10 you will get presented with the topic of the presentation before you attend an interview.
mm,
It's very rare that they will give you the topic on the day. That's usually for quite specific roles.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So, what is your view on applications that have been heavily assisted by AI tools such as ChatGPT? Because you can literally put your job description and your CV, and it will tell you everything about your application. So, when you read them, and if you read 20 of them, you will know that they sound similar. So, what is your view on those kind of applications?
Okay, while it's good for suggesting ideas, I totally agree if you kind of need it as a prompt, candidate must personalise information to their own skills and experiences. And this is where I think it stands out. If somebody's used AI, they're not very personalised responses.
Yeah,
It's become more obvious in recent recruitment campaigns that AI is being used to complete these forms. And it's more obvious when applicants reached an agreed threshold to be interviewed, but then at the interview, the candidate isn't able to convey their own skills to meet that criteria. So it's okay using it to get through that first stage.
yeah.
But if it's very obvious during the interview, if you can't then translate all that into the responses that's required for the interview.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, when it comes to the interview, what do you believe is the right balance between technical skills and the soft skills?
Well, having worked in a technical environment most of my working life, I believe soft skills are as important as technical skills, especially in local government, setting the ability to translate any technical knowledge and be able to understand the business requirements from a non technical audience is critical to service delivery
Yeah,
and to secure buy-in from the people you work with and those that are actually making the decisions. So you might be really skilled technically, but unless you have got those soft skills, being able to communicate, being able to understand the requirements of the business in a very non-technical way, and being able to work with that information from two different aspects. You might have to work with a technical team to deliver, but you do need to work with a non-technical team to understand how the business operates. And so for me, I would say they're as important as the technical skills. You can learn the technical skills by training and development if you're not quite there,
yeah.
but the soft skills are something that has to come naturally.
And the interview is your opportunity to
Absolutely.
explain those soft skills, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Have you hired someone who wasn't the strongest candidate on paper, but performed brilliantly in the interview? Has that happened?
To be honest, I would say not in my experience. It's usually the other way around because we set a minimum bar when shortlisting.
Yeah.
So there's an expectation that the candidate meets the criteria in order to get the interview anyway.
Hmm.
So on paper, a candidate can tick all the boxes, but when interviewed, it can often be very disappointing. So that has been more my experience, especially on external candidates.
So they are very strong on paper, but when it comes to interview, they are not coming as strong as on paper.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. If you think about the best people you have worked with over 40 years, what did they have in common?
Few things actually, but enthusiasm and dedication to the job,
Yeah.
dedicated to self learning and development, a good communicator who engages in conversations and contributes, share the knowledge as well, and is open to criticism and constructive feedback. So it's people you can really work with and understand their skill set as well as them learning how a team approach is applied.
What are some of the basic interview preparation steps that candidate often overlook? As for example, you already mentioned that eye contact is very important.
Yeah.
But what are the other basic things they need to bear in mind?
Okay, yes, eye contact is very important. Soft skills, we've talked about this briefly.
Mhm.
Ensure you demonstrate and talk about these, especially when applying for technical roles. These are often really underestimated in conversation. It's kind of, you'll ask the question of a candidate and they'll rather reel off all the applications they can use rather than saying they're a good communicator. They listen, they actively engage, all those,
Team player.
yeah, there's lots of soft skills. I mean, that used to be kind of a really basic requirement of most interviews,
Yeah,
but I do think as time's moved on, we're losing that element of some of the candidates being able to talk about those skills. Don't assume the panel is aware of your skills. You might have put them on the application. Not always does the panel have that information in front of them.
yeah.
So the interview is your opportunity to sell those soft skills,
Hmm.
talk about your personal contributions to projects, preparation, inquire about equipment that's available. If your presentation is required, you need to know how you're going to present it. Does the panel need to receive a copy of it prior to it? Sometimes the panel will set a presentation, but they will wait to see how you respond to this to understand whether you use any of your own initiative to work out how you're going to present that on the actual interview,
Yeah.
but also aligning your personal experiences and skills that will add value. So yeah, it's all that kind of preparation that you can do well before the interview by researching the role and understanding the requirements.
Yeah, one funny incident I can remember is your phone rings during an interview, and it does happen. You just forgot, and then it may appear as, oh, this is not a good thing, but don't let it stress you, and just put it on silent and let
Yeah,
carry
just
on.
apologise and
Yeah, yeah,
put it away. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But
things do happen, and the panel usually can see the funny side of that. So
yeah,
it's not that shouldn't happen, but it can make a candidate really stress and
yeah, yeah.
lose the flow of the
Flow. Yeah, yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
So
But I still remember we have appointed that person.
yes, yes, actually.
Okay, what advice would you give someone applying for a role in the local authority at the moment? I think you have covered
I think
most
I've
of them.
covered a lot of the things, yeah, but above all, really, I think most importantly, engage with the panel at the interview.
Yeah.
Make them aware that you are listening and that you understand what's being asked of you.
Hmm.
Listen to every question properly before responding. It's surprising that when you've asked a question, sometimes you sit there and wonder where the candidate drifted off to because you think, actually, it's not really answering what I've asked.
Yeah.
So I think because sometimes candidates attend an interview just with a mindset that they've got to get all this technical knowledge out of their heads. So they'll try and put words into responses that actually, when you think about the question, it doesn't correlate.
Yeah.
So it is about thinking about what's being asked of you. Because for all the preparation in the world, actually, some of the information that you might have prepared for might not be needed on that particular day.
Hmm.
So just think about the questions on the day and think about how you can align some of your prep work into that response.
Yeah. I think despite reviewing, common interview questions, you might get something new, and it's okay to pause, think
Yes,
about it, have a sip of water is fine, and then construct the answer in your head
rethink
and
about
then
it.
present it. That will be useful. Sometimes they might have 5, 7 years of experience, but then they are coming back to the same examples. So it's important maybe to consider a variety of examples, isn't it?
Exactly.
To
Yeah.
cover a variety of skills. Okay, great. Thank you. At the end of the interview, we always ask what kind of questions, if you have any questions, and what do you think candidates should ask at the end of the interview?
First and foremost, I think asking anything they have not understood during the process of the interview.
Yeah,
Ask if the panel needs any clarification on anything that's been discussed.
yeah,
Ask about the team, the structure and the reporting lines. This could be quite critical to how you perceive your responses have been received. So I think it's good to know rather than walk away and thinking, I wish I'd asked what the setup is or whether I'd have any people to manage or who would be my direct line manager. Sometimes some of this is covered in general discussion, but sometimes people have walked out the door and actually they have no idea what their reporting line would look like.
yeah, yeah.
A decision timeline, that's key because obviously you don't want to leave that room without understanding when you're going to be notified of
Mm.
whether you're successful or not. maybe I think it's becoming more important over the last year or so, maybe whether the role is hybrid, as while this was important during COVID times and post COVID, it's slowly changing, especially in local authorities now. There's more of a push to get people back into offices. So there shouldn't be a natural assumption there that hybrid is for everybody,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
especially with the roles as well, being new to an organisation, it might be that you're required to attend the office for the first 3 months just to understand how other people work, what kind of pieces of work you will be looking at, how you engage with your peers and other teams. So it's just worth asking about that, because if that's really important to you, the hybrid working, you need to kind of discuss that at the interview stage.
Yeah, definitely. I think, in my view, it's your opportunity to assess whether this is the right role for you. You know,
Exactly.
if you're looking for a remote role, but if this role is in office 3 or 4 days a week, then it may not be right. So it's to clarify those questions. Maybe not ask 8 to 10 questions, but ask at least 3 to 4
Yes.
meaningful questions, which can give you a good idea about the role. And you can decide based on that information whether it's right or not.
Yes.
Okay, Teresa, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experiences. 40 years in one organization gives a unique perspective on careers, recruitment, and professional growth. And I know our listeners will have taken a huge amount from today's conversation. If you have enjoyed this episode, please follow us and share this episode with somebody who is looking, currently job searching, or looking to develop their career. If you have a specific question you would like us to ask our guest, then also let us know. Thank you for listening to Inside the Interview, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.